My fiancé told me his ex would always be part of our marriage, and if I couldn't handle that, I should leave. So I stood up, looked him in the eye, and said, "You're right, I should not marry you." He thought he was putting me in my place. He accidentally handed me my freedom. We had been together 5 years. I was an architect, and I owned the house we lived in. The problem was his ex. She was at every holiday, every birthday, every family dinner. She even had a key to his parents' house. Nobody acted like that was strange. They acted like I was the problem for noticing. Every time I brought it up, my fiancé said I was insecure. His parents were retired therapists, so they wrapped disrespect in little buzzwords. My fiancé kept saying, being friends with an ex is healthy. But this wasn't friendship. This was his ex parked in the middle of my relationship while everyone expected me to smile. Then came the dinner to finalize wedding details. Both families were there. We were going over the seating chart when my mom asked one question. Why was his ex sitting at the main table with immediate family? My fiancé snapped. He looked at my mother and said, "Unlike some people, we don't care about outdated rules." Then he turned to me and said my family was stuck in the past. His parents jumped in too, talking about insecurity and rigid thinking like I was some patient they needed to fix. I sat there getting picked apart for not wanting my fiancé's ex honored at my own wedding. Then he stood up. He put both hands on the table. He raised his voice so the whole restaurant could hear. "The ex is going to be at our wedding," he said. "She'll be on family vacations. She'll always be part of my life. If you can't accept that, then don't marry me." Everything went quiet. He was smiling. He really thought I would fold. I stood up slowly. I looked him right in the eye. I said, "You're absolutely right." His smile got bigger. Then I said, "I agree. I should not marry you." His face dropped. His parents froze. My dad reached for his wallet. I turned to my parents and said, "Can we go?" Then I walked out without crying, without yelling, and without looking back. 5 years ended in less than a minute, and all I felt was relief. That night, my phone exploded. My ex, his parents, mutual friends, even the ex herself. I ignored all of them. Instead, I called the wedding planner and canceled everything. His father had bragged for months about paying for the wedding, so I told the planner to send every cancellation and vendor problem straight to his family. The next morning, his father called screaming about the money. I let him finish. Then I said, "Your son gave me 2 options in front of 12 witnesses. I picked one." I told him there was no case, just an expensive consequence. That evening, my ex let himself into my house with his key like nothing had changed. He stopped when he saw his clothes packed in boxes by the door. He said, "What is this?" I said, "Your stuff." Then I told him he had until the end of the week to leave. The house was mine, only mine. That was when he broke. He sat down, started crying, and finally told the truth. His ex had tried to get back together with him months earlier. He liked the attention. He liked having 2 women orbiting him. He had doubts about the wedding, but didn't want to call it off himself, so he kept feeding the mess because it made him feel important. That confession killed whatever was left. The next day, his parents came over to blame me again. I finally said what I had swallowed for years. I told them they raised a spoiled man and used therapy language like a weapon. Then I told them to get out of my house and take their son with them. After that, I blocked all of them. Then my life got very quiet, and then it got very good. A few weeks later, I took the solo Europe trip my ex always mocked because it involved architecture and museums. I came back feeling like myself again. Then I pitched for a major restoration project downtown. I won it. That project changed my career. Months later, I ran into him at a coffee shop. He looked tired. I smiled once, then went back to my blueprints. No anger, no sadness, nothing. That felt better than revenge. Later, I heard the ex, the one they all swore was family, disappeared. The second real consequences showed up. Not long after, I met someone new. A doctor. Smart, direct, kind. Her ex stayed where an ex belongs. In the past. No games, just respect. A year after that dinner, I was standing in my own apartment, looking at a life that finally felt peaceful. He thought he was daring me to leave. What he really did was force me to choose myself, and I did. Would you have walked out that night, or stayed and hoped he changed?